Then there's somewhere else I'm forgetting.
Wow.
So that's just been the past 4 months. So I'm pretty tuckered out right now. It's been constantly on the move these last few months.
Racking up those frequent flyer miles, huh?
Oh yeah, definitely utilizing the credit card and the frequent flyer points.
You're currently, I saw this over on, which one is it? Not Kickstarter, um,
Indiegogo.
Indiegogo. I saw that you're putting a book up of some of your photographs, and we're going to talk a little bit
Yep.
about that. What is the book about? Is it a collection of photographs from one spot or from several spots?
So I'm titling this one "Connected: The Abbreviated Adventures of a Self-Described Idealist," which I realize is a mouthful. um,
That's clever.
but connected for short. So the idea behind it, it's a collection of images from 5 different continents through my few years, sort of my personal favorite countries and personal favorite images from those countries. Right now, it's looking to be about an 80-page book. When if we reach stretch goal funding on Indiegogo, I'll expand that to 100 or 120 pages. So right now, it's just about making it bigger. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, it features sort of really like my favorite countries, like where I found this really interesting images, and what I'm trying to do with it, the idea behind or why it's titled Connected, is that we all sort of like, and everyone has this wanderlust feeling to go and see new places, experience new things, taste new foods, meet new peoples, dive into new cultures, and that's sort of a big propellant of travel is removing ourselves from sort of the world we're immersed in and experiencing these new ones. But what I think you also find too, or what I found in my travels, is that on some fundamental, deep level, we're all very much connected in the same ideals, the same desires. There's a shared humanity about it.
Mhm.
So that's a bit of what I'm trying to explore here is to illustrate and to show those differences and to show, the amazing elephants through India and the baobab trees in Madagascar and great Mexican food and things like that. But also, if you look at people and you really imagine relating to those scenarios, you can understand that we're really not all that different. There's something there that's connecting us.
Yeah, absolutely. I One of my favorite TV shows or movies or whatever you want to call it is Ewan McGregor and Charlie Boorman riding their motorcycles, from London to New York, across Russia,
Uh-huh.
a long way around, and then they rode from the top of Scotland all the way down to Cape Town. And
Yeah, I think I've seen the previews for that, but I don't
oh,
remember actually watching the series.
you must watch. It's on Netflix. You must
Okay.
watch. But that's one of the things that struck them as well, is it really didn't matter where you were. There were so many things in common.
Yeah.
Um, even at one point, they're camping with their fancy BMW motorcycles, and they're in Siberia, and this Siberian nomad young man on a horse rides up, and yet the look on his face, he's probably never seen a Caucasian person, probably never seen a motorcycle or any of what they were doing, and the look is just pure wonderlust and shock and surprise. And they end up, having a nice talk. They can't understand each other, but people are more alike than they
Sure.
are different. It's really
Oh
cool.
yeah, absolutely.
Well, tell us a little bit about the shot here. That's an amazing um, photograph. These are some spreads from
Thanks.
the book that Matt has shared with us. And before we get into that, Matt, who did the design for the book or helped you edit it?
So this is actually all coming from me. I'm taking some input from some friends who are art directors and a few editorial people I've worked with, I'm asking them, what do you think of this, and tweaking a little here and there based on opinions. But this is sort of just again because it's a promotional piece, or started the genesis of it started that way for me. I wanted this to sort of really represent my vision from a photographic and from a design standpoint. So it's all coming on my end.
Wow,
So
a lot of
something
work.
like yeah, so something like this, what we're looking at is a title page or a chapter page from one of the books. So I'm going to break it down into countries and then a series of images, again, my favorites from those countries, and then there'll be another one. And here and there, we'll all add in some photo notes, just some small things like what I found interesting about a certain scenario. Not too many, but a little dabble here and there. It's mostly images. Um, but what I'm trying to do with these title pages is I've labeled the countries, and I don't think I sent you an image example of this, but I can try to follow up with that. But I've labeled the country titles in the way they're spelled in those countries in that language.
Aha.
So this is a shot from the famous Baobab Alley in Madagascar, and how the Malagasy people say Madagascar's Madagascar. So that's sort of how I wanted to start off the titles. Is I guess part of the immersion. I consider language a very important thing when travel, and I try to learn as much of a local language when I go places. Just it opens up much easier connections with people. You just get to even exchanging a few words. It opens doors. So it creates a lot of really wonderful portraits and nice moments. So I wanted to incorporate some bit of the language like that into this book. So I'll have like a section on Morocco, and the title page will be Morocco spelled in Arabic. But then I've captioned them all underneath
Oh,
with the country name. So most of us, and this is probably all going to English speakers or the people who aren't can't read Arabic script like myself, um, can understand which country it is.
wonderful. Great.
Yeah,
I'm going to be spending some time in Canada. I better learn how to speak Canadian.
yeah. I think a lot of please and thank you, and you're pretty good.
And then just an A at the end.
Yeah,
Just the red road A.
yeah.
I think I can handle that.
Rounded vowels.
That's a boat.
Yeah.
You're quite as you can see, folks, Matt is quite an accomplished people shooter. And I think at one point you were headed down a people centric route and decided to go travel. And I think you've been pretty happy with your decision, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I originally started out with lifestyle and fashion photography, so there's definitely an element of that in my look, and I don't want to say I shoot people in a fashionable way, but I try to look for this sort of dignified or refined look to my images.
Hmm.
Um, I try to pick those moments. I would still consider myself a pretty strong people shooter. Travel is what I shoot, but if people ask like what's my specialty in travel, it's people.
Yeah, your
I
people are always so fascinating to look at, and you're right. There's a dignity, there's a beauty to them. Um,
Yeah, it's an attraction. I'll be walking around looking for images, and I'll just sort of see someone and I know like I have to have this person's photo. So everything I try from there, learning the language, things like that, are all built to help me get that person's photo.
Excellent. Tell us about this gentleman on the left.
So this is a guard in Jaisalmer, which is a city in the far west of India in Rajasthan. Um, and he is one of the temple guards at a Jain temple complex there. And he's just someone I mean, I love his mustache. I love the character, the look of his face, the colors, from the turban and sort of the old worn T-shirt. And his skin itself is just like this. It almost feels like this part of the stone behind him.
Wow.
So it's just I don't know. He's just a really interesting character. I loved his look. So yeah, I asked nicely and asked in Hindi, and he said yes. So I helped. We moved to a certain area, posed them up, got a few frames, some close shots, some wide shots, and quick and done, and on the way.
About how long do you think you normally spend with a shoot like this? I know it's quick, right?
Yeah, I mean, if it's individual people, usually it's a few frames.
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes you can expand and do a little bit more. If you have a really like a project theme and you can base it in one location, you can spend a bit more time with people. It helps in countries like this if you don't speak the language to have a fixer with you, and that's someone who can really help. Like if you again, this is like a more detailed project that you have and a specific thing you want to illustrate. You'll need a fixer to help communicate with people and really explain the project fully, gain their acceptance, and takes a bit of time. But for these kind of things, it's quick. I see the person, I quickly ask them to take their photo. Sometimes I'll have an idea looking around where I want to do it. We'll set up to make sure it's in the right light, the right background, and make it happen, and then say thank you and on the way.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. These are those trees again in Madagascar.
Yeah, so again, this is the famous sort of Baobab Alley in Madagascar, which is just an incredible, incredible place. And the baobab trees are all around in this area, but obviously a big collection of them right here with the road going through. And then on the right is a village about 45 minutes south of there. Um, and you'll have to forgive me, I'm forgetting the name of it right now. Something I'll have to look up in I keep a travel diary where I note down names and things like that for reference.
Hmm.
Um, but I'll have to check it. But it's just a I mean, very, very small fishing village. We're talking about like 20 homes, 20 thatch and reed homes and wood homes like this. And it's all fishers, fishing families who live there. And the women in the area used a bark paste on their faces as sort of like a beauty regimen. So I found that I really liked how that looked, and this was a bunch of adolescents and kids who'd sort of gathered around, and I took a few photos of them, and I bring a little Polaroid camera around with me, a little Fuji Instamax, and I give out photos as well to a lot of these people.
Oh,
Um,
wonderful.
yeah, it's really what helps me get a lot of these photos and these moments, or to gain people's acceptance, is that you're not just someone coming in and click and thank you and goodbye. Um, I'm sitting down, I'm having a quick conversation with them first. I show them the Polaroid, the Fuji, whatever. I take a photo, give them a photo, and then we keep talking. And like a shoot like this, I think I spent an hour in this village. So that was time between giving them photos and then, oh, well, let's take a shot here, and then let's do some individuals, and then keep moving around. So this is one where we sort of finished taking photos, and they all sat back in their homes, and I liked the moment a lot more. It felt spontaneous and um, just a nice found caught moment.
Did you have a fixer with you on this trip?
Yes, this one I did. For Madagascar, I think I won't say 100% have to have it, but it's a very, very removed from the tourist industry. They see about probably 250 to 300,000 tourists a year, and there's really not much infrastructure to speak of to support it. There's no road signs or anything like that getting around, and so much of it is off the path, dirt roads to get to, that finding it without a guide would be quite impossible.
Ah, um, and the assignment was for this one?
This one is for Islands Magazine, and I'm lucky I can actually even talk about it right now because I only got back from this one a week ago. And this will appear in a later issue of Islands over the late spring, summer. And usually I don't even get to mention or show images from an assignment until after it's been published. But they wanted to sort of preview advance this one a bit, so we posted some of these photos on Instagram and built up a little excitement for it. So it's nice that I get to use these in the book and talk about them now when normally everything's very closeted and hid away.
That's great. Those embargoes sometimes can be painful.
Yeah, especially when it's a story you're really
got the
excited
got this
about.
amazing photograph you want to show everybody, but you can't.
No,
That happens. So these pictures in Mexico, uh,
yes.
who was the client?
So this one is for Endless Vacation, and they're published by RCI, which is the largest timeshare network, I believe, in the world. Um, but they've got properties all around the world, and I've been working with them for about 2 years now. So they publish a quarterly magazine that goes out to all their members. It's quite a bit. I believe it's like 2 million people. Um, so it's a great reach on it, and this one was actually an amazing coast to coast Mexico story I did with them. So on this one, I got to travel between Cancun, Playa del Carmen, Acumel, Tulum, and then over to Acapulco, and then over to Los Cabos area as well.
Wow.
So this was a pretty incredible one over so I want to say 16 days, and these shots in particular are out of Acapulco. And the main thing you're seeing here, or on the right, is one of the divers of La Quebrada. And La Quebrada is this, I forget the exact translation. Again, apologize for that. I'll have to look up these things. It's all written down, but at the top of my head sometimes it gets buried in the last trip. Um, they've been diving for decades now, and obviously the older divers train new ones, but they climb up on the right side of these cliffs, like way up outside of the photo range. And at certain times of the day, I believe it's like 1 p.m. and then 5, 6, 7, 8, and then maybe once at 10, 4 or 5 of them jump off from, I mean, an incredible height off this cliff. And they have to time it perfectly right to make sure the tide's coming in, so it's just deep enough for them to do it. It's a pretty incredible thing to watch.
Wow. Neat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely a little terrifying at
Yeah.
first. But I liked the moment here where he was sort of sitting, looking out, watching the tide, and waiting. And I mean, this isn't even a dive spot. This is just where they climb down and then jump in and then climb back up.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
Of course, half the viewing audience right now are staring at the tacos. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't go to Mexico and not get some great pozole and tacos, you know?
yeah, absolutely beautiful.
So, yeah, it's just I mean, and I like the contrast between the black and white and the nice moment, and then all the great colors in the food there.
Very nice. This is one of my favorite of your new images.
Thanks. Yeah, this one has captured quite a few people, it looks like. So I've actually gotten quite a lot of feedback from some of the editors at Nat Geo on this one uh, too, which has been fantastic. This is in Chefchaouen, Morocco, and it's in the north part of Morocco, a few hours from Tangier. And I believe it's called the Blue Pearl of Morocco. So kind of everywhere around it, it has these winding alleys that you see here, and painted in these really rich and amazing blue tones. I mean, it's really like a little photographer's paradise there to find it. And this door in the background, I really loved. I thought it represented well the shape and the character and the studding, the sort of the typical architecture there. So I knew I wanted to get a great shot of it, but something that illustrated the space or gave it a little sense of place. So I walked up the alley, sat down in another doorway, and I just sat there and took photos for a half an hour as people went by. Um, and I waited till I found just the right person hitting the right spot. So I've got a few varieties of it, and I have actually another version of it that I like, which has a woman in a red dress leading along a little boy. Uh, but this one was nice too because I thought the pink of this young girl's dress really popped out against sort of the blues
Oh, it does
here,
so well.
and she hits stride in just the right spot in the middle of the door. So it's
Perfect snap. That's one of those.
yeah, and
When you took that picture, I bet you thought, "Oh, I got it."
yep. Yeah, that was one. I think one of the last ones I took there. I was sitting down, taking a shot, and okay, not the right spot, not the right look, not the right stride. Okay, okay, and then got that one. I was like, perfect.
Wonderful. I like this young Peruvian kid as well.
Yeah, so this is in the Lares Valley in Peru, which is a sort of another known trek. You can take it to get to Machu Picchu, though it actually leads in the opposite direction, and then you take a train to get there. Um, but I recommend it far more than people will tend to do, like the Inca Trail and Machu Picchu. It's not as great, I think, and it's very packed with tourists. This is really just like natural Peruvian beauty. And I mean, the scenery there was gorgeous. This young boy was actually the assistant to our muleteer. So he hiked along the entire time with us, and I mean, smoked us. This kid, he was blowing past us and moving the mules along as we're huffing and puffing, trying to keep up.
Yeah, if Peru is definitely on my list of places to go. Who knows? I may ride a motorcycle there, but um, of course, going through Central America customs is like there's a month. Um, but I think as much as I have always wanted to see Machu Picchu, I've had some
Sure.
friends come back and they said, "Oh my God, it was like Coney Island,
Yeah,
packed."
Machu Picchu is it's packed. It's very, very packed. I found Peru, many of the hikes and the landscapes outside of there to be much more rewarding than Machu Picchu itself. I mean, it's great because you get there and oh my God, it's Machu Picchu and it's amazing. Um, but still, the photographically even, I found much better things than other places. On this one, the Lares Trek, and on Osengate, which is about 4 hours south of Cusco. It's Osengate is one of their taller peaks there, and you can do a 5 to 6 day circuit around it, which is just, I mean, fantastically gorgeous scenery. And you run into little Quechua villages, herding llamas and alpacas. So it's a pretty gorgeous place.
And who is the client for this shoot?
This one I was working with a trekking company down there, so we were building images for their catalog.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So like
so
the infamous new library shoot.
yeah, definitely.
Very interesting. And we got a couple of your Sicily pictures. Are these any of the ones hanging at the gallery?
Yeah. Oh, so it's a coffee shop I frequent a lot, and I've just always I like the vibe there. They make great coffee. I've always spitballed around the idea of, hey, it'd be great to just hang some prints in here sometime. So I printed up a few. One of them's in there. This one on the left of Mr. Francesco Sanacore, who may be one of the suavest people I've ever met. He just oozes class and style, and this was taken on his estate in the olive orchards as he's smoking a cigar in his Easter Sunday suit.
Nice.
So yeah, this one was another one for Endless Vacation magazine, and this I believe was a 12 day trip through Sicily from the East Coast up to the West and the North. So the left is with Francesco is in his olive orchards outside of Trapani, and then on the right is actually a little island off the west coast of Sicily called Favignana, and Favignana is just like this very quaint, almost walkable around small island. Um, and it had a sort of a classic slow-paced feel to it.
Look,
So
and
for these kind of images, I look at and I know like, all right, I'd like to illustrate this concept a bit more in black and white. I mean, there's some great colors there to be sure, but it pulls out the character of it a little bit more to me.
that's great. I love black and white. I do.
Yeah, it's you got to look for a mix of things. I used to shoot a lot in color, and now I mix between black and white and color, and actually even Endless Vacation is a publication that used to, I want to say, almost never publish black and white images. They just published all color images, and this is the first story with them I shot, and I was like, you know what? I think some of these really represent better in black and white, so I submitted them that way, and I was lucky enough that they agreed and they took a chance on it, and it turned out to be a really great story that way, and now they've sort of expanded their range, and we publish a lot more black and white images there now too.
Great.
So we fit what or we find what fits the look and the mold, and that's all about it. It's a collaboration with the client and expanding each other's range and things like that.
Wonderful. Well, I was just
Yeah.
checking your Kickstarter, and you're more than a third of the way there. So,
Yeah. So again, I did it on an Indiegogo because
or, I'm sorry,
I
Indiegogo.
don't.
My
There's
apologies.
yeah. There's no like set funding goal with it. Like I don't need to reach anything to publish this book. It's getting published either way. Because it started out as a promo piece. There seemed to be enough people who are interested in it that I said, oh, you know what? This is an easy platform for people to go in and to order it. And if they want prints as well, I've thrown up a few options like that. And really, it's just, the more funds it racks up, the better and the bigger I can make it. So it's just sort of a nice little back and forth to do. Like, okay, if you like my work, if you enjoy these travel images, here's a way to have a few.
Absolutely. And and I ordered one. So, in full
Yeah,
disclosure,
great.
folks, I ordered one. I ordered the first one, as a matter of
Yeah,
fact.
there you go.
And I want that reflected on your signature, by the way. Number
Yeah.
one.
All
Um,
right. I'll sign it in.
the nice thing about this, folks, is that these are the kind of books that no matter how you look at it, are so fascinating. He's not going to print 25,000 of these and send them out. This is a book that if you get one, you're going to be one of only maybe a couple of hundred people
Yeah,
who own
at the
this
very
book.
most.
That's amazing. Are you gonna
Yeah, I mean, it's a
for the other
curated, it's a
for promos
small
too, right?
collection of images. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, when your client gets them, they're gonna have a signed and numbered edition. How cool
Yep.
is that?
Yep. So it's curated, it's small. Again, it's really meant partly as a thank you to clients and partly as to generate new work and new interest from people. I've been talking back and forth with, and then yeah, I've just had enough people over the years who've asked me like, oh, please put together like a book, something that I can have a collection of images, or people have asked for prints and things like that, and I've always been scrambling around on it, so I decided to just make it easy, put it up there. If you want it, there it is. It's easy to find and order.
It's being printed by Edition One, and
Yep.
these are very high quality printers. This is not
Yeah,
your
they're really great.
yeah,
I mean,
not your
I've looked
typical
at
one-off
different.
printer.
Yeah, I mean, I've looked at different ones, and I certainly thought about even working with a publisher, but I just didn't. I didn't want to entail the hassle of that this time. Perhaps in maybe another few years, say like 5 years or so, when my catalog is really expanded, I'll take another look at this and think about editing a larger book with a full publisher. But on this one, the self-printing through or, self-published printing through Edition One, they just produce a really quality book, really quality prints. Um, so it was the way to go.
Excellent. Well, for
Yeah.
my gearhead followers out there, you still Nikon?
Still a Nikon, yeah. I like the color set that comes out of Nikon. I like the dynamic range I have, and especially out of the D800, D810s. I like those large file sizes.
When you're packing for a trip to Madagascar,
hmm
what's your kit look like? Because I imagine space and weight is a consideration.
Space and weight is always a consideration, almost no matter where you're going. I mean, some places like the Mexico stories can be a little more stable in cities, and I can leave things in a hotel and bring things back and out. But yeah, other places, weight is, and what I'm carrying around all day is definitely a consideration. So I usually have two to three bodies with me. Um, and then maybe three to four lenses. And I work mostly from like the 24 to 70, 70 to 200. I may bring a 50 and a 35, something like that. So, or if I'm thinking I'm going to shoot a lot more food, I may bring like a macro or something like that. Or if I'm having to shoot 360-degree panoramas for digital editions, I may bring a big fisheye to do that.
Sure.
So it really all depends on the nature of the client and what the assignment is. But for the most part, a few bodies, two bodies, and those kind of two customary zooms.
Wonderful. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Matt, it's been great chatting with you.
Yeah, it's great talking with you too, Don. Thanks very much.
I'm going to edit out the part where we lost you. And
All right. Sorry about that there.
yeah, well, you came back fine.
Uh,
Right after you came back, it was real faint, and then you just came back and fine. You finished strong. So
you know what? I think I tapped a button accidentally, reaching over on the microphone, and that probably lowered the volume and then muted it and brought it back.
well, it was a great interview. Thank you so much. Look forward to
You're welcome.
getting my copy of the book, and look forward to having you back on again sometime. So let us know. Well, I follow you on Facebook, so I always know when you're out of town
Yep.
and heading
Yeah.
for.
So again, this will be available until December 31st on Indiegogo. So I figured I'd put it up till the end of the year to give people a little time for it.
What a
And
great
then after
Christmas
that,
present.
yeah, well, it'll be a little bit after that. I'll have it up there, and then I'll send it off to the publisher, and then it should arrive, I want to say, about mid February.
Mid-February.
So you can give it as a great Valentine's gift, maybe.
You can, or you can give a certificate letting somebody know they're going to get a, very unique, short run, awesome photographic book.
Yeah, there you go.
In fact, I know someone who may enjoy it. I may have to purchase a second one.
I like that idea.
Matt, it's been great. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you,
Uh,
Don.
I will talk to you soon. I'm
All
going to
right,
say goodbye to everybody, so hang on for a second, Matt. Thanks,
sure
everybody,
thing.
for coming to Lighting Essentials and following along. I hope you go and take a look at Matt's book.